Shabbat shalom, everybody. This is your brother Kazak, and I wanted to real quick, not going to take a long time, just a few minutes of your time. I wanted to address something, and want to say, let the chips fall where they may. There are many people posting things on Facebook, which is opportunity for people to become stars in their own way, to get people to follow them and so forth, but I want to just kind of read something. It's in the Berit Kadash, or what the world calls the New Testament, and just a couple verses here. Just want to share for your hearing. So let's look at this is First Timothy. I'm going to read First Timothy chapter 1. First Timothy chapter 1 and verse. Let's start at verse 5. I'm going to read verse 5 and 6. It says, "Now the end of the commandment is charity," right? Out of a pure heart. Now, that Greek word charity, we're not going to go off into the etymology of that, but basically what it's talking about is the love. The end, or the end of the commandment, doesn't mean the commandment is ended in love, as some ascribe to, but what it's saying is that the end, or the goal of the commandment is love, right? Those two things that the Most High said in Exodus 20, when he said, "Thou shalt love Yah, your Elohim, with all your heart, and thy neighbor as thyself." Those are the two commandments, the goal, I should say, of the Torah, or the law of the Most High, is that we love Yah first, and then love our neighbors as we love ourselves. Those are the 2 points, 2 components that we ought to get out of the law. Okay, so when he says in verse 5, the end, or the goal of the commandment is love out of a pure heart. Okay, so we want to love in pureness, right? Not, there's a lot of falseness going around. There's a lot of we use the terminology religiosity, or traditional views, or what we have come accustomed to believe is what we're really pointing towards. Because religion in itself is a sincere, pure word. I'm not talking about the etymology of the word religion, so I'm talking about what it really means is a belief or a dedication to a moral value, is what we're talking about. That in itself is pure, but people have beliefs that are not based off of moral or human, and what am I trying to say? The natural way in which man was created to live in harmony, in doing the right thing. Righteousness, basically, is doing the right thing. Anything that we do ought to be governed to humanity for life. So when we've been instructed to do something, is called righteousness or rightness, meaning that the one who made us gave us an instruction manual to go by so that we can live and not die. Okay, so some people are against living when they attack the manual of life. So the point I'm making is that the goal of the commandment is love, right? Out of a pure heart. You know, where the Most High didn't give us the law to, you can't make a person love you in the heart legally. See, you can make a person legally respect you and do what you want them to do legally, but you can't make a person love you internally in their heart if they don't really love you. They'll just do what they can do to get by according to what the law has to say. Okay, that's not loving. That's not loving with a pure heart. That's loving legalistically, and that's not what the Most High called us to do. To love legalistically, but the love of the pure heart. It's a difference between the two. All right, now let's continue. So he said, out of a pure heart and of a good conscience. See, the goal of a commandment is to love out of a pure heart and of a good conscience. So when we do that which is right, which is humanly right, that produces life, then we find ourselves doing that which is of a good conscience. And he says, of faith unfeigned. Okay, now we're not going to go into the etymology of the words. We can go and break down all these pagan deities that the English language has embraced, but this is not what this conversation is about. And I think sometimes we get lost in translation. We get caught up with the English language, and we demonize the language that we have been birthed into this part of the world to speak, rather than dealing with the subject matter itself, or dealing with the reality of the essence of what's being said, right? Okay, so let's not get too deep, because we can do that and we can go there. We got books that breaks down all these different pagan origins of all these words and things of that nature. But let's deal with the root of it. Let's deal with the essence of it, the meaning of it, and not go off into worthless things. So verse 6, he says, from which some, your First Timothy chapter 1, now verse 6 says, from which some having swerved have turned aside into vain jangling. See that? So that's what we see a lot on the internet. It's people who have swerved or turned aside unto vain janglings. We're going back and forth with each other about trivial things, nonsense, and not walking in the pureness of the love, the pure love, right? As it said, walking in the pure love with a good conscience, right? We need to return back to that, to loving and to walking in pure love, right? He says, from which some having swerved have turned aside into vain jangling. So you can go back and forth about all kinds of linguistic things, which is to none avail, right? Okay, what am I talking about? For example, I heard someone mention on YouTube, did a live video talking about the pagan terminology, sun god, Sunday versus Saturday, and all that kind of thing. Seventh day, first day, the Most High named the days of the week. We don't worship this. We don't worship Saturn or the day Saturday. Neither do Christians worship Sunday or the god Sol Invictus, right? The day that most Christendom have chosen to celebrate or to follow is based on their belief system that was passed down to them from their teachers, who just happen to be descendants of those who were sun worshipers. Okay. But on the other spectrum, nowhere in history, the nation of Israel were ever known as Saturn worshipers. They didn't worship Saturn. Okay. Matter of fact, the Most High gave the seventh day, which the Greeks gave us the name Saturn. We use that terminology to identify the day of the week, which is the seventh day that the people in today's modern society can understand when we talk about the Sabbath. What day are we talking about? Okay, we're talking about the seventh day, who the world calls Saturday, right? Those of us who are Israelites do not worship Saturday. Okay, we worship Yah himself on the day that he gave us, which is the seventh day that the world just happens to identify as Saturday. So on the flip side is not a twist. It's not a twist. You can't twist it. Okay. Seventh day was given to all man from the beginning, including the Greeks. Okay. They rejected the day because the day, if you go into all of the lost books, the pseudepigrapha books, the what they call the hidden books, what have you, you'll find out that all of the sons of Noah after the flood knew the commandments. The seventh day being one of the commandments of creation that they all kept until the point in time in which they isolated and separated themselves from the Most High and created their own deities because they didn't want to follow the Most High. Thus, you get Solar Victor's Day or Sunday or the first day of the week, substitution of the creation seventh day. Okay, I didn't intend to go all of that in that detail, but I guess this is what the Most High wanted me to share in this little few-minute clip that I'm doing. Okay, now, so he says, from which some having swerved and have turned aside into vain janglings. And that's just what it is, a vain jangling. You go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It's just back and forth. Just a vain jangling. Remember the seventh day. That's what the scripture says. It just say, it don't say remember the first day of the week. It don't say remember every day is a Sabbath day. It says remember the seventh day. In the beginning, the Most High set apart the seventh day in creation before the nation of Israel was born. Okay? In the human nature, it is a necessity for us to take a break. The Creator is smarter than us. So he said, keep the seventh day as a break, as a day of rest, and as a day of refilling. That's why we Israelites, we meet on the seventh day of the week, because this is our time of rest and refilling. The Most High didn't tell us to set apart the first day of the week, whatever you want to call it. He said, set apart the seventh day, not the first day, as a day of rest, right? And as a day of refilling, where we get our refreshing from the Most High. Okay? Because in the Hebrew, it says he rested and was refreshed. That's our refreshing time. Okay? That's our time of rest and refreshing or refilling. Okay? Now, the next verse is what we see on social media across the globe. It says, many people, and I add the many there, but it says, desiring to be teachers of the law, right? Now, we can go from two perspectives on this. We can go desiring to be teachers of the law of their religion, or desiring to be teachers of the law of the Most High. There's a difference between the two. Every religion has a set of rules and laws that they hold as a truth. But Yah, the Most High, YAHWAH, has set laws with creation that man should go by that brings life. Okay? Now, so here it says, desiring to be teachers of the law, but understanding neither what they say nor whereof they affirm. No, what he's saying is, they don't know what they're talking about. That's why you got to be careful, brothers and sisters. when we surf the internet looking for teachers to teach us Yah's truth, right? We have to be mindful that there are a lot of people that got a lot of teachings that are philosophies that are not backed up by the word of God, but they're backed up by their own philosophies. See, there's so many people that say, "Oh, I'm a covenant Israelite," or "I'm a Hebrew Israelite," or I'm a Yasharal, or whatever phrase and term that we use to identify ourselves. So that's supposed to automatically make us be authentic because we say we are a Hebrew Israelite. So that has sanctioned us, or we feel like that has anointed us to be teachers because we're in Israel. You've got to be a teacher, you've got to sit at the feet of the Most High and let him be the one to instruct, to direct, and to guide any teaching of truth to make it sound. Otherwise, we're going to have all these, for people that ask the question from time to time, why are there so many different teachers amongst Hebrews? Quite simple. The Most High didn't send them. They were inspired and went on their own. Because when you are a representative of the Most High, that's what the Most High, remember the story of Miriam, the Most High told Miriam and Aharon when they challenged the prophet Moshe, Most High speaks to us all. Most High had to rebuke them and said, let them know, this is the person that I speak to face to face. Okay? Y'all getting the second hand. This person is one that I have raised up to deliver this word to him directly. Now, people that the Most High is using directly in this hour, in this time, is very far and few. It's rare to find people that the Most High is using in this hour directly. There are a lot of teachers, okay? He says in verse 7, they're desiring to be teachers of the law, but they understand neither what they say nor wherefore they affirm. See that? So there are a lot of people, brothers and sisters. You surf YouTube and whatever media forms that are out there, you can find a lot of people, a lot, who profess to be teachers, who people are following them by the masses in some cases, and they are leading them wrong. That's what the Most High, that's what YAHWAH was saying here in that day, and what I'm reiterating in this day, the same thing that he dealt with in that day, it's the same thing that we're dealing with in this day. Desiring to be teachers of the law, understanding neither what they say nor whereof they affirm. And I end on this note here. But we know that the law is good if a man uses it lawfully. Knowing this, that the law is not made for a righteous man, but for the lawless and disobedient, for the un-Elohimly. Somebody said that's not such a word. Well, I'm sorry you don't like that, but I'm going to use it. I don't use God. Okay. Some camps use God, but they don't understand, or they don't have the clarity of the usage of the terminology and all the other pagan terminologies in reference to the Most High. See, that's the difference. Okay. But all, he says, the law is not made for the righteous man, but for the lawless and disobedient, for the un-Elohimly, or we could say the unrighteous, and for sinners, for righteous, and profane, for murderers of fathers and murderers of mothers, for manslayers. Watch this now. For whoremongers, for them that defile themselves with mankind, for men stealers, for liars, for purged persons, and if there be any other thing that is contrary to sound doctrine. See, that's what the teachers of the law should be teaching the people. How to not be unrighteous. How to not be set apart, right? How to not be profane. How to not be murderers of fathers or mothers or manslayers. How to not be whoremongers. How to not defile themselves with mankind. See? How to not be men stealers, right? How to not be liars. How to not be purged persons, okay? So that's what teachers of the law should be teaching. Not going off with vain, as he says here, vain jangling, causing debate and discrepancies and arguments about rotating Sabbaths and all kinds of things that they desire to be teachers of, but they don't understand themselves. If the days of the week are numbered, it is what it is. They are numbered. You don't rotate a day. The seventh day is not now the fifth day, or the third day here, or the second day here, or okay, the moon changed the number of the day of the week. So now day number 7 is now day number 3 this month, which is confusion and is error, brothers and sisters. This may not be popular, what I just shared, but all through the scriptures, we won't find anywhere where the Most High is the author of confusion. So let's not add and tap into confusion by confusing the masses with our own belief. Let's follow after what the Most High gave us. And let's lead Israel first and the world back into a world of humanity. The fear of Yah is the beginning of wisdom. And on that note, I say Shabbat Shalom, and may the blessings of the Most High Yah be with you and your family. Shalom, shalom, shalom.